Yeah, no worries. No worries. Today we are also going to start on our backs like we did on Tuesday. So if you want to lay down, that would be great. And so for today we are talking about grit and determination, about resiliency and perseverance. And so kind of following our theme that we've been doing, last week we talked about how sometimes we need to back off, we need to rest, we need to say no to things. And then on Tuesday we talked about balance, about knowing when you need to take care of yourself and when you just need to push a little bit harder. And so we're kind of moving through that pendulum or through that range of things. And so now today we're talking about grit and about kind of pushing through when we need to. So hopefully you all came ready to sweat today, because we'll be doing some of that probably. But if you just want to go ahead and take a couple of deep breaths in, just some cleansing breaths as we begin. Starting to kind of settle into your bodies, finding out where that breath is landing for you today. Because we are going to be a little bit more active today than we have been in our last couple of sessions, you might notice that your breath is more up in your lungs and that sort of thing as we continue through our practice. And that's totally fine. So that's not anything to judge about yourself. It's just something to notice and to say, oh, wow, I am really breathing hard, or I'm breathing heavily. Not anything to be like, oh, I should be doing these things. So if you want to go ahead and then take a little bit deeper breath. Then as you're laying here on your back, I'm going to encourage you to bring your knees into your chest. Just kind of allowing your spine to settle into the mat. And to start, we're going to take both feet up toward the ceiling. You want to bring your ankles about hip width apart. You can take your arms down alongside your body. Or legs up the wall. And then I'm going to encourage you to point your toes and then flex your toes. Just kind of exploring the edges of each of those positions. Noticing in your legs when you point and flex which muscles are engaged and which ones are being stretched. So like for me, when I point my toes, I feel it on the front side of my shins. When I flex my toes, I feel it on the back side of my calves. Continuing to breathe as you do so. And then coming back to a neutral position, go ahead and bend those knees, bring them into your body. If you'd like to rock them back and forth across your lower back, you can. And as you do that, let me read for you this definition of grit. It says, grit is an old term for a relatively new personality construct. It is a personality trait that suggests that someone possessing grit has perseverance and passion and will work hard to achieve long-term goals. It is related to other personality traits such as resilience and hardiness. So when you're ready, you can bring those knees back to center. We're going to take those feet down to the mat. Stretch our arms up overhead, just stretching the top half of the body first. And working ourselves into that upper body stretch, allowing the shoulders to relax, allowing the rib cage to open. And And when you come to your next exhale, go ahead and sweep those arms slowly down alongside your body. We're going to go ahead and take both feet up toward the ceiling again. This time pointing the toes. We're going to bring our feet together and then start to come down about halfway if you can, engaging our core as we do so. If you start to feel your low back coming up off of the mat, then just come up a little further again. It means that it might be overarching. Breathing while you hold this pose, engaging that core. And then bringing those legs back up toward the ceiling, and then flexing those toes, bringing your ankles again about hip-width apart. We're going to go ahead and bend one knee into the chest, and then we're going to allow that other leg to come out to the side. You can support it with your outside hand if you would like. Taking a nice deep breath. And bringing that leg back to center, go ahead and switch sides. So if you need to take both feet up towards the ceiling and then bend that right leg in, and then take the left leg out to the side again, supporting with your outside hand. Taking another deep breath. And bring that back to center. Go ahead and bend both knees, rock back and forth across that low back once more. Then leaving your knees together, drop your knees off to one side. Stretching your arms out to either side, opening up that chest. Feeling that nice gentle spinal twist. Again, breathing deeply. If you can, see if you can leave your knees together, engage your core, and then start to draw those knees back to center. And then drop them off to the other side. Again, opening up that chest, relaxing into this gentle spinal twist. Taking one more deep breath, and then again, engaging your core, leaving your knees together. See if you can bring those knees back to center. And then taking those feet back up toward the ceiling, pointing the toes, bringing the feet together, and then go ahead and lower those down again, about halfway or a third of the way, depending on what your body is needing today. Again, if you're coming down so far that that your low back space starts to arch, just come back a little bit further. And bringing those toes back to center. Go ahead and flex the feet, bend the knee, and take the feet down to the mat. We're going to go ahead and take our hands and put them behind our knees and rock ourselves up into a seated position. We're going to move into boat pose. So that means we're going to have our feet flat on the mat here. Our knees are bent. We're sitting nice and tall, and then drawing our arms parallel to the floor. Keeping our back straight, we're going to angle back until our core is engaged. And then here, if you can, we're going to lift one foot at a time, and then the other foot at a time. And if you want a little bit more than this, you can actually just leave both feet up off of the mat. Take a nice deep breath. Then returning both feet to the mat. Go ahead and round yourself all the way down again. And then from here, I'm going to encourage you to take your arms down alongside your body. You're going to take your feet as close to your body as you can. And then we're going to push our feet into the mat, coming up into bridge pose. Engaging our core. Breathing deeply still. Just because we're focusing on grit and determination today doesn't mean that we forget about breathing and about the meditative part of our practice. Sometimes we have to engage those things even more so when we're trying to get through something, right? So we have to keep our thought process on a positive path. We have to breathe deeply to get through something, whether it's a strong emotion or whether it's a difficult moment. All of those things are tools for us as we work towards some of those long-term goals. When you're ready, go ahead and start to come down one vertebrae at a time, bringing those knees back into your chest, rocking back and forth across that low back. And coming back to center, if you can, we're going to grab for the outside edges of our feet. And then draw those knees down toward the mat, opening up our feet toward the ceiling. As always, if you need to take a different pose, you're welcome to do that. So if this one feels difficult for you, then feel free to flip over to child's pose or to a different pose that is more comfortable in your body. Take a nice deep breath. And then releasing both feet down to the mat. We're going to come back into our bridge pose. So feet planted on the mat, arms down alongside the body, pressing those feet into the mat, lifting the hips up toward the ceiling, drawing that line between our knees, hips, and shoulders. Our shoulders are anchored into the mat. Our tummies are drawn in toward our spine. We're continuing to breathe. It was interesting. At the beginning of the year, so many folks have different resolutions or things that, goals that they put into place. And what my word for the year ended up being perseverance. And I remember thinking and praying about that and going, oh, I don't want my word to be perseverance for this year. Sometimes, even when we know it's needed, it's something that we kind of go, do I really have to? When you're ready, go ahead and start to roll down onto the mat, drawing those knees into your chest, rocking back and forth across that low back. You might notice that your thighs and your hips and your hamstrings are starting to really feel that as we do that bridge pose. Coming back to center, we're going to go ahead and reach for the outside edges once more of our feet and draw those feet toward the ceiling as we pull our knees down toward the mat. For a happy baby pose, or some people call this dead bug pose. I know, I think that name is so funny. Taking some deep breaths, really relaxing into that hip space. When you're ready, we're going to release those feet down to the mat. We're coming into our last bridge pose for today. So taking our arms down alongside our bodies. Again, shoulders down away from the ears. Pressing those feet into the mat as we lift our hips toward the ceiling. I love the definition of grit that they give here, where it says, someone possessing grit has perseverance and passion and will work hard to achieve long-term goals. So many times we can kind of get stuck in our own perspective in the moment. Kind of like that song, static moment, right? And so then sometimes we need to look longer term to help us get through that moment. Say, okay, you can do anything for 10 seconds, right? Or whatever the phrase is that you need to help yourself get through that. Continuing to breathe. Go ahead and then on the next exhale, start to round down, releasing that tailbone, drawing the knees into the chest. Got through that, so go ahead and rock back and forth, cross that low back. Coming back to center again, reaching through for the outside edges of your feet. And you're going to open up those feet toward the ceiling, allowing those knees to come down toward the mat. Breathing deeply. And then from here, you're going to release both feet down to the mat. We're going to take our right foot up toward the ceiling, pulling that in toward our chest. Stretching out that hamstring. See if you can draw it into your chest just a little further. And then open up that leg out to the side. You need to put your arm down along the mat to help you with balance. You're welcome to do that. Drawing that back to center. See if you can take that leg across your body just slightly. So it's not a big move, but you want to get into your IT band here, stretching that out since we just used it. One more deep breath. And then coming back to center, drawing that knee into your chest. Then release that foot down to the mat. We're taking the left foot up toward the ceiling. Supporting our leg with our hands. And then drawing that leg into our chest a little further if you can. And then taking that leg out to the side. Again, supporting with your hands if you need to. Breathing deeply, getting lots of good oxygen into those spaces. Then drawing that back to center. And then if you can, just a little bit across your body, stretching into that IT band along the outside. You might feel your legs shaking a little bit. That's okay, that's normal. Then coming back to center, go ahead and bend that knee, drop into your chest. Release that foot down to the mat. We're going to take our hands behind our knees again and round ourselves up, or rock ourselves up. We're going to sweep our knees to the side, coming onto all fours. Let's start to warm our bodies up a little further. First, we're going to do some cat-cows, so allowing the belly to sink down, allowing the tailbone to come up, allow the crown of the head to come up. And then as you exhale, go ahead and arch the back, tuck the tailbone and the chin. Rolling through 4 or 5 of these at your own pace, inhaling into cow, exhaling into cat. Really stretching through those shoulder blades when you come into cat. And allowing that chest to open to come into cow. Once you've done 4 or 5, we're going to come back to tabletop. So checking in again with your wrists, that they're underneath your shoulders, with your knees, that they're underneath your hips. We're going to tuck our toes. And here, we're going to lift our knees about 3 inches, maybe 3 to 6 inches, depending again on your body and what you need today. This is called bear pose. So we're really pressing the mat away from us. All of those muscles in our thighs are engaged. We're still breathing deeply. And then we're going to allow those hips to come up toward the ceiling, and we're going to allow the heels to come down to the mat, stretching into downward facing dog. So you're going to feel this stretch all along the backside of the body. Then we're going to look toward those two front hands. We're going to start to shift ourselves back into bear pose. So allowing those knees to come down toward the mat, but not rest on the mat. Using that breath to help you get through this moment. Check in with yourself in terms of what you're saying to yourself. Are you being encouraging to yourself? You can do this. One more breath. Then lift those hips. Allow the heels to come down and stretch back into downward facing dog. You might notice your body is feeling a lot warmer now. So looking toward those two front hands once more, shifting your weight forward, allowing those knees to come back down toward the mat, but not rest on the mat for bear pose. Again, breathing deeply. Feeling all those muscles engaged. You might notice those muscles are feeling tired, but you can do this. One more deep breath, and lift those hips up, stretching back into downward facing dog. Go ahead and take those knees all the way down to the mat. Go ahead and untuck the toes, stretch those arms forward, come down into child's pose. Using your breath to help you slow down that heart rate. When you're ready, you're going to lift your head, press your palms into the mat. We're going to walk those hands forward and then shift our hips all the way down to the mat, coming into cobra. Stretching out the front side of our abdomen. Then go ahead and lift the hips, stretching back into child's pose once more. I'm going to encourage you to start walking your hands back towards your knees. We're going to go ahead and tap our toes and rock ourselves onto the balls of our feet. We're going to allow our heels to come down and our hips to come up for forward fold at the back of the mat. And here, excuse me, and here, we're going to start walking our hands over to one side first. Feeling a deeper stretch on one side than the other. And walking our hands to the other side. Again, feeling that deeper stretch on one side. Coming back to center. We're going to go ahead and start to shift our hips down. And then we're going to lift up into our chair pose. Again, breathing deeply, allowing that breath to help us through this moment. Go ahead and take your arms straight out in front of your body, engaging your arms. And then go ahead and stand up out of that pose. Ooh, coming into mountain pose. Here we're going to inhale both arms up. And then exhale those hands down to heart center. Inhale both hands up toward the ceiling. Exhale all the way forward. Look forward and walk your hands forward. Coming into plank pose. We're going to hold this for 3 deep breaths. Again, checking in with yourself. You can do this. Then shifting those hips back as you walk your hands back into downward facing dog. We're going to take our weight to our left foot, reaching that right foot up toward the ceiling, bending at the knee. Then we're going to do some big circles with that right knee. Continuing to breathe deeply. We're going to draw that right knee into the chest. And we're going to set that right foot between the 2 front hands. However we can. Leading our feet there, we're going to lift into crescent lunge. Bring our arms up. Back leg is straight. Then we're going to blade that back foot and open the arms out to warrior 2. And then here, go ahead and straighten that front leg as you inhale. Exhale as you bend. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. This time taking that front elbow to the front knee. Reach up and over for side angle. I'm going to take both hands down to the mat, framing that front foot. Allow the back heel to come up. Step that right foot back to meet the left. And we're going to do our vinyasa. So if you would like, you can either walk your hands back towards your feet and hang out in the back of your mat with a forward fold, or you can follow me. We're going to lower all the way down to the mat. Untap the toes and lift into cobra. Exhale all the way down. Inhale and touch the toes. Exhale and push up into plank. And then shift those hips back into downward facing dog. Taking a deep breath and walking those hands back towards your feet. So now we're all in forward fold with back of the mat. Arms out to either side, flat back. Inhale all the way up. And then exhale, arms down to mountain pose. Okay, we should all be feeling a lot warmer now. Yeah, here though. Good.
Air conditioning.
That's good.
Not fire.
So we're going to do the other side now. Inhale, arms up.
Your fan.
Palms together. Exhale down to heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale all the way forward. Look forward. Walk those hands forward. Coming into plank. Holding this for about 3 breaths. Using that breath. Then shifting the hips back. This time shifting your weight to your right foot. You're going to take that left foot up. And drawing some big circles with that left knee. ready, we're gonna draw that knee into the chest and then set that foot between our two front hands. Again, in whatever form or fashion you need to get there. Checking in with your stance. Make sure your feet are pressed into the mat. And then go ahead and start to lift into crescent lunge. Again, making sure that that back leg is straight from the ball of your foot. Then you're going to blade that back foot open up into warrior two. Again, breathing deeply, allowing that breath to regulate you. Then inhale and straighten that front leg, and exhale and bend. Inhale and straighten, exhale and bend. One more time, inhale and straighten, exhale and bend. This time taking that front knee to the your front elbow to your front knee, reaching up overhead with that right arm for side leg pull. And looking down towards your foot, we're going to take both hands to either side of that front foot, allow the back heel to come up. Stepping back with that left foot. We're going to come into our plank. And here you have the choice of moving back into forward fold or taking a vinyasa. So your choice. So lowering down, lifting up, lowering down again, tucking the toes and inhaling, exhaling up into plank, shifting those hips back, coming into downward facing dog, holding for a breath, and then walking those hands all the way back towards your feet. So we're all in forward fold in the back of the mat. Arms out to either side, flat back, inhale all the way up, and then exhale down to mountain. Very good.
Just
Great job. You guys are doing
I'm not
great.
expressing any negative emotions.
Woo. All right, so we're going to move into our balancing postures. So if you need to, again, move toward a wall or toward a chair or something like that, you're welcome to do that. And we are going to find a little bit of stillness on our mats first. So we want to think about having our feet about hip width apart. Think about opening up that chest, softening that tailbone down, engaging that core, allowing that breath to, again, slow down your heart rate, allowing the crown of the head to reach up toward the ceiling, elongating your neck. And while we rest and breathe in this position, I'm going to tell you a little story. So this story is from when I was a freshman in college. And it was the first time that I was experiencing having lots and lots of work and lots of deadlines. And I can remember procrastinating on one paper in particular. It was an essay. It was for history, and it was something that I was just kind of dreading doing, mostly because I didn't know exactly how to do it. And I can remember having a horrible nightmare one night, and I woke up the next morning, and my residential director happened to be there, and she said, "Are you okay? What's happening for you right now?" And I told her about my dream, and she said, Is there, it sounds like in your dream, you're struggling with a deadline. Is that true for you?" And I said, "Yes, it's true. You know, I have this paper that's due tomorrow and all of these things." And she looked at me with all the love and compassion she could, and she said, "Well, it sounds like you need to write your paper." "Sounds like you need to write your paper," is what she said. And she was right. I needed to find that grit and that determination
to just do the thing that I knew that I needed to do. So sometimes when we talk about grit and determination, it is this perseverance and this passion to achieve long-term goals, but it looks like doing the thing in the moment. Just go ahead and take that next step forward. So as we think about that story, and as we have allowed our bodies to come back to kind of regulation, we're going to go ahead and shift into our balancing posture. So we're going to shift our weight to the left foot, drawing that right foot in like a little kickstand, drawing our hands to heart center, thinking about, again, elongating the spine, drawing those stomach muscles in, breathing deeply still. And then if you would like, you can start to explore this pose further. Bringing that leg up to where it feels comfortable for you, extending your arms out to either side if you would like. And then here, we're going to take that knee, we're going to leave our arms where they are, take that knee forward, and then we're going to take that foot out away from our body. So you can take it as far as feels comfortable to you. So that means that your leg is still bent. Feel free to just keep it bent here. We're exploring that balance. Taking some deep breaths. And then go ahead and bend that foot back in. Take that knee out to the side. Allow that to come out and take those arms down. Ooh. Shake out that other foot or stretch it if you need to. Coming back to our mountain pose. Again, checking in with our bodies. And we have our ears over top of our shoulders, over top of our hips, over top of our ankles. When you're ready, you can start to shift your weight to that right foot, drawing the left foot in like a little kickstand, taking those hands to heart center for tree pose. And then again, going as far as feels comfortable for you in the expression of this pose. Drawing that core in. And then when you're ready, leaving those arms there, taking that knee to the front. And then again, taking that toe out away from your body to wherever it feels comfortable and feels like a little bit of a challenge for you. Breathing deeply. And then drawing that toe back into your body, taking that knee out to the side, and then stepping down, coming back into mountain pose. And then, of course, shaking out that other foot. Whew. Very good. We've done some good work today. I know we're all breathing a little bit heavier than we normally do and sweating, but we can get through this, right? So we're going to go ahead and come down to all fours onto our mats here. And from here, we're going to shift our weight to that left hand, reaching up with our right arm. And then as we exhale, go ahead and slide that left arm underneath slide your right arm underneath the left, and come back into thread the needle pose. Sliding that right hand out, go ahead and come back to our all fours, switching sides. We're going to shift our weight to that right hand, reaching up with the left as we inhale, and then as we exhale, sliding that left arm underneath the right, and then sitting back into thread the needle on the other side. Stretching out the arms that gave us such good support in the rest of our practice. Turning our minds toward gratitude.
for what our bodies could do. And sliding that left hand out, pulling ourselves back up onto all fours. We're going to walk our hands forward, allowing those hips to come down, and allowing ourselves to come all the way down to the mat, onto our tummies. We get a little pillow with our arms. Again, taking some nice deep breaths. From here, you're going to work yourself up onto your elbows, stretching out those fingertips, crossing your left hand in towards your right elbow, reaching back with that right hand, drawing that right foot in towards your body for frog pose. Feeling a really nice stretch on the front side of your right thigh. Again, using that breath to regulate yourself. And then allowing that foot to come down and switching sides. So we're working ourselves back onto our elbows first, taking the right hand in toward the left elbow, and then reaching back with that left hand, drawing the left foot into our bodies. Visualizing that breath going into that left thigh. And then releasing that down. And then coming back into our little cradle for our heads with our arms. Allowing those heels to fall open. Allowing all the muscles and legs to relax. Allowing that air to fill your lungs. When you're ready, we're going to work ourselves up into a cobra position. So taking our hands underneath our shoulders and then pushing ourselves up. Checking with our shoulders and we're down away from our ears. And then lowering ourselves all the way down. This time pushing up into a modified plank. And shifting our hips back, allowing our arms to come forward for child's pose. And once more, we're going to pull ourselves up onto all fours, this time sliding that right knee in between those two front hands, and then folding forward for pigeon pose on the right side. And taking some deep breaths. Staying present in this moment. When you're ready, we're going to work ourselves up again from this position, sliding that right knee back, and then sliding the left knee forward. And then folding forward over top of that front knee. It's interesting because when we think about grit and determination, a lot of times we think about, doing the difficult thing, about using that breath to help us get through those hard moments. And sometimes the difficult thing is just staying present in the moment. So we can also use our breath to use all those coping skills that we have learned over the years to help us just stay present to the moment. When you're ready, you can go ahead and start to work yourself up onto your palms. Slide that left knee back. We're coming back into all fours. We're gonna tuck our toes, shift ourselves back, lift our hips and allow the heels to come down, coming back into forward fold at the back of the mat. Tucking our chins, allowing the crown of our head to fall down toward the mat. Go ahead and bend your knees. Put your hands on your knees, and then very slowly round yourself up. And then here, I'm going to invite you to come into a mountain pose at the back of your mat. And this is how we're going to end today, by taking just a few moments of silence, standing in mountain pose, engaging that core, feeling the strength in your body, thinking about all you were able to accomplish, knowing that if you can do that, then maybe you can do the next thing. Start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Maybe rock back and forth gently across the balls of your feet and the heels of your feet. Kind of shaking out those arms a little bit, shaking out each leg a little bit. And I would encourage you to bring your hands to heart center and let me pray for us. God, thank you for your wisdom that helps us to know when we need grit and perseverance and determination and resiliency, and when we need to rest. Lord, would you continue to teach us how to step into courage, how to take that next step when we need to just move forward, just to try the thing, even if it means that we're failing. God, would you reframe all of those things for us? And would you remind us that you love us, no matter what stage we're in, whether it's in the stage where we have to push a little harder to get things done, or whether it's in the stage where we have to release and let go and rest. It's in your name we pray, and in your wisdom we go.